Well, welcome everyone to our Questers Open Forum, uh, first open forum and our first official gathering of 2026, the year of great change, which sometimes might mean upheaval as well. I guess we're going to find out over the next little while. But I know that one thing that Questers holds all the time is the highest vision we can every day for the future of humanity and for ourselves, and envisioning people living together in a really beautiful way in harmony with nature. So I'm delighted to welcome our guest tonight, Cindi Johnston from Alberta. She is a shamanic lady. She's done a ton of training with trips to Peru, sacred ceremony, lots of ceremonial work and grid work, and she communicates with different dimensions and different worlds. She's a steward of ancient light codes, returning our planet during this time of great
No
transition
sound.
to a place of balance and equilibrium. She's the author of Shifting Timelines, How to Co-Create Your Extraordinary Life. So I hope she's going to be talking to us about timelines. We've been hearing about timelines shifting around the last couple of years too. Her work bridges celestial wisdom with grounded presence, and she reminds us that true expansion begins when we root fully into the earth grid and allow harmony to return. So, harmony is definitely what Questers are about for sure. Harmony, learning, science, education, and energy. So, Cindi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to you to share with us your wonderful presentation.
Wendy.
Thank you, Jackie. What an honor and a privilege to be invited in January of a new year and a start to probably a very profound year. So I'm grateful for this opportunity. I thank you all for being here as well. I had to sit with, when Jackie asked me what we were doing, I asked, what is it? I never have the answer, I ask. And it was about presence. The overall story was presence. So, with your permission, I'd just like to set the intention. It also helps me stay really clear by setting an intention for tonight, if that's okay. Um, it's a very high vibe intention.
Perfect. Yeah, no, we're all in on high vibes.
Okay, so just give me 1 minute of your time in this blessing to state. May this sacred gathering be shielded and blessed by the Council of Light, the Swan Star Regents, and the Arcturian High Command. I call forth a ring of divine protection, a luminous lattice of crystalline light, to encircle our space, sealing our gathering in integrity, grace, and harmony. Let only truth, peace, and the highest frequency flow here. All distortions, projections, or energies not aligned with source love are gently returned to their origin, transmuted into light. We enter this moment with clarity, courage, and commitment to anchored presence. And so it is.
Oh, it is.
Thank you. So it is.
Thank you. So you heard me speak about the Arcturian command and that intention, and where I share tonight is a lot of information has started to come through from this group of wisdom keepers that call themselves the Arcturian High Command. I haven't been to their ship and they haven't manifested physically in my space yet. They have showed in my dream time. I have been on ships in my dream time. But I have no question that I'm working with a presence that I've been very fortunate to be granted, because in the last 6 months, once they kind of appeared last summer, my life has changed, and I have done a lot of work worldwide. Probably 20 years of doing sacred ceremony around many, many sacred temples in Egypt, in Peru, in Mexico, in our own temples here in Canada, temples in the US. I've been granted access, and I have been asked to stay as humble as possible and continue to do the work to assist all of us in the awakening process, because it's not an easy one to stay in physical form and walk this earth right now with the codes of light that we're interacting with, especially coming out of what I'd call very dense times, very difficult times. And we're still not out of them, but I feel like we're coming to a place where we can see the fork in the road and we can start to choose our destiny. And I think all of us in this group, especially, I know in my heart with when I sat with what I was to share tonight that all of you are stewards of where we are going in this day, starting today and starting tomorrow and the next day, because we're in the now. We've kind of been living a little bit in the past, and now is available to us each and every moment. So they asked me to share with you about the light codes that you carry in your DNA and share with you just a little bit of technology so that then we can have some questions and interact and learn from each other. Because the key is that, yes, I'm sharing something that I've been asked to share, but I believe we're all wisdom keepers in our own right. We have our own abilities, our own awareness, and we have also our own history beyond this world. So I'm just going to share a little bit with you from my notes, and then I do have a message I was asked to give you. I asked the Arcturian group I work with for a message directly to share with you after I give the brief technology information. And then I would love to open it up, if that's okay, Jackie, to us interacting and asking questions and just learning from each other, if that's okay.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. It's
Okay.
great to hear from everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like this will, in everything that I've done with the regents, with the Arcturians in the last 6 months, everything that I've noted has been an activation, especially for myself. It's like it shifts my timelines. As you said, Jackie, I get into a new timeline almost immediately. And it's always a higher frequency timeline. And they're going to explain to you why. Um, so, right now, I just want to share with you that there are four main themes I just want to cover. And again, my notes are just so that I don't forget something important. There are celestial codes returning and turning online and back online. And the Maya predicted this. All the elders have told us we're going into a new time. There's a lot of other expertise that's not in my wheelhouse that maybe some of you know about
But the
the,
Mayans, when the whole Mayan calendar thing was hot and heavy back in 11 and 12,
yeah,
2011, 2012,
yeah.
we definitely had some speakers with questers on the Mayan calendar, and what we were learning is that the end of the calendar marked the beginning of what they called no time.
Yeah.
So we've been in that for a while.
Well, there's been some interference. Probably not necessarily. We could go into all those stories, but that's not my wheelhouse. What I was told was that the interference tuned us all up so that we could really ascend even higher than we expected,
Hmm?
or maybe even what was planned. Because difficulty, especially light bearers like everyone here, your difficulty tunes you up. It really not that I wish any challenge on any of us, but when we stepped into 2012, it started around 2011, 2012. We moved into several timelines that were really quite dense. And that's why we saw such difficult times for all the things that had happened. And it was almost a convergence of all those timelines. So when we got through to COVID, we had several timelines running simultaneously. That's why it was so chaotic. And our job, even though we may or may not have remembered it, was to hold the light while everything started to dismember. And that's the technology that I've learned in Peru with the Peruvian elders. Every time we've done work, it's about dismemberment, about undoing the old so we can embody more light. And the light bearers in this meeting are part of the light codes. And so I want to speak more about that because if you see if you've gone to any of the sacred temples, you see that they're holding a staff, and that staff represents the bridge between worlds, the bridge between the earth and the light. And that's us, by the way. We are the staff. So when you think about it, and I'll share more with you, all of these codes are stored in the Earth's crystalline grids, and they're now unlocking as humanity reaches remembrance thresholds. So there has to be a certain level of consciousness on Earth before everything starts to unlock. It's almost like, when you're building a puzzle and everything starts to come together, all the pieces have to align, and then you start to see the picture of the puzzle. Well, that's where we're at. And the land carries the original codes, and for questers and dowsers, you're part of that tending to those codes. You may not know it as that or refer it as that, or you do, but the key is you're connected to those crystalline grids. So for the 20 years that I've done sacred work around the world, Egypt, I've dropped crystals in the temples, in the pyramids. I've dropped crystals everywhere I have gone and done sacred ceremony to activate those codes. I've done what I was asked to do. So, all of us, and I used to think that the crystal did all the work, but what I learned this last 6 months is actually we as individuals are the activators. We can leave crystals wherever or dows wherever, but it's the frequencies we carry that activate. So, carriers like you hold the pieces, and the activation is natural as timelines align. So that's what we were told is convergence is going to be many, many, many timelines all converging into one very high frequency timeline. And as that happens, the light expands through grounded bodies. And that is why I used to do a lot of healing work back in, I don't know, I started in this profession in 2003, 2004 as a profession. And I did a lot of hands on healing, but I didn't get into shamanism till 2005, 2006 because I was told to, but really I wasn't able to hold energy in a harmonious way until I started to connect to the earth grid. And shamanism was that vehicle for me to do that. I learned how to dialogue and how to interact and how to reweave my light body so that I have the mountain energy in my field. I'm not just looking at it, it's there. So, grounded is number one. Think about it this way: a tree cannot grow if its roots are not into the ground. And so, groundedness is super important right now. Coherence, the ability to be in alignment and be in the now equals stabilization. And a big one, and this is not easy for any of us, at least for me, I won't speak for any of you. There is no bypassing anything now. I don't know if you've noticed that you think something and it shows up like within hours, where before it might have showed up in days and you may or may not notice. Well, now it can be almost instantaneous. And what that is because the convergence of the timelines that we're dealing with almost forced the pressure in on us because everything is available that wasn't always available before because the timelines were segregated. So, COVID, for example, has many stories to it. But the one thing we did repeat in that timeline was all of the times that humanity had faced a very difficult situation with illness, like the Black Plague, like, you know what I mean? That timeline suddenly showed up on our timeline, regardless of the story of everything else that we could talk about. We had to face that timeline. And we've had to face several timelines unknown to us. And some of it we would experience maybe personally, and some of it we wouldn't notice, depending on where our focus was. So, what I was told is there's no more bypassing anything. We have to face and remove the density so that we can embody light. Because where we're going in this convergence timeline is all light filled, it's a light timeline. So the energetic teachings really are the good workers, the dowsers, the healers, the awakened ones. They're the anchors and tenders of this.
There's Cindi Johnston from Rat Creek. She's on a group call here.
Oh, just one second. Hold on. Oh, just a sec. Yeah, go ahead, Cindi.
Anyways, as we hold this box, the energy is, it's almost getting more chaotic right now. And what we've been told is we're the tenders and the creators of stabilization. So I've had my own chaos and gone through it. And the number one thing that helped me go through that chaotic time was to be in the now, not to be in my past, worrying about what's happened before and not what's coming, because some of the stuff that I was going through was completely out of my control. But what I could do, and as weird as this sounds, is I sang a lot. I whispered songs and I used the songs that I was taught in Peru using Quechua because they were ancient. And I don't always know what the words mean because Quechua doesn't translate to Spanish, definitely doesn't translate to English. And some of the language, the mythic language of the Quechua have been lost. They don't know the translation. But I do know the words that I'm attracted to sing. And what I was told was I was taking myself out of the chaotic timelines every time I did that and brought myself in the now, not even knowing how I was doing it, but it worked. And I feel like all of us are going to master that for the next little while, is that we need to figure out what our answer is to getting into our timelines that hold us in the now, where we're not fearful of the past and we're not concerned about what's coming. And that's because you're the anchors of light. Your DNA is here to activate. And so the one thing they told me was that we can't escape or ascend out of Earth and do what we came to do. Because when things get challenging, it's easier to escape into something else. But when we do that, we don't transform what we're experiencing. We actually have to hold presence in that situation to transform it. You can't escape being a tree. Your energy and your light have to be present. It's about presence. And if you can stay in that firm alignment, then you transcend whatever's coming at you because you basically transform that timeline. So we transformed the COVID timeline because, yes, we're still seeing signs of it in different ways. However, we don't have to do all the things that were happening at that time. So that tells us we transformed it. However you want to talk about that, it doesn't matter. Right now, the key is to see that we were capable of probably transforming one of the most difficult situations worldwide with the amount of people that can communicate instantaneously. Because back in quieter days and quieter times, we didn't have instantaneous communication, which means we didn't have instantaneous influence. So to transform that was quite miraculous. So we'll go into the next part of that. Please know that your grounding is essential as light bearers. Make it your priority. So we'll talk a little bit maybe as a group about how we can do the grounding, but let me keep going. I'm almost through my big notes. Here's a piece that I was given. Codes are information. They are not belief systems. The codes in which you carry have nothing to do with your belief systems. In fact, if anything, your codes will challenge your belief systems. It's very important to think about it this way. We don't understand our codes, except when we look back and we reflect. We might see them in action. But when we're in the moment, we don't know what our codes are. And so over the last, I guess I've sat with elders and had amazing opportunity to hear what my mission was and what my purpose was and all of these things, because I've been granted access to incredible places on earth and incredible teachings. And I still couldn't necessarily understand it until 2025. And then I realized the land that I was walking and doing sacred song and sacred work, I was activating it. I didn't know that. I thought my mission was to do ceremony everywhere I went and to help people through teachings, through the verbal exchange like I'm doing tonight. But what I was told was your codes activate. And I feel like I'm not the only one in this room doing that, by the way. It means that we all have a purpose we don't completely understand. We're learning and we're growing into it. And if we knew that if I knew that when I was 25, talk about spiritual bypassing, I would not have been ready for it. I needed 60 years of learning to then accept some things that became clearer and clearer over the last year. I wasn't ready. And we're waking up as our codes turn on. We're having experiences that then prepare us to understand what our codes are about. And then we're learning through that experience maybe how to work with our codes. And the biggest piece of it right now is to have some flexibility, because maybe what I knew, for example, was not accurate completely. And I'm still learning. And I will learn probably till the day I leave as to how the codes work. Because it's through the ability to let go of what I thought I knew to access what is turning on. I have to get rid of my belief system because it's in my way. And so that's what I've been working on. I'm watching how I respond differently to the way I might have responded. And then sometimes I watch myself respond exactly the way I did 15, 20 years ago to a same stimulus. I'm not criticizing what I'm doing. I'm watching almost as an observer. I'm going, isn't that interesting? Wonder why I'm reacting that way. But then I get more information and it comes on as basically I'm waking up. I thought I was awake, but I was in many timelines simultaneously. The now wasn't easy to hold. When you have, I'm giving a metaphor here, 15 timelines turned on in your life, it's hard to hold focus. But That's starting to change because we're coming into alignment. So they told me that where have light codes been? They're like frequencies, geometries, harmonic constructions. And where have they been held? Earth crystalline grids, water systems, human DNA, and your nervous system, my nervous system. And why are they activating now? Because increased coherence between Earth and solar cosmic cycles, as the Maya predicted, and human capacity to hold paradox and complexity is expanding. Big thing, light without grounding creates instability. So, what they told me, and why we're seeing kind of all this nonsense, all this chaos, all this movement, I'm going to use the word movement, then it doesn't get personal, is because as the light that's aligning with the solar logos, which is what the Maya call the galactic center, that frequency of our sun is changing and that light is hitting the earth. And they showed me that when you take a magnifying glass and you put it on a piece of paper with the sun coming through, the paper starts on fire. There's a heat transference. And that's kind of what's going on right now. So it's interesting how we're going into the fire horse timeline. I'm like, please tell me we're not talking about a lot of fires, because of course none of us want that. And it was no, but fire is a transformer, and so is your sun. And that sun is activating all the grids from all the timelines. And what happens then is those grids have information in them that we may not remember. Obviously, we don't know what happened 200 years ago if we weren't here, but those grid energies are still in place, and the sun is activating it, and everything's getting stirred up. So they said the key for us is to keep our nervous systems as calm as possible. I know that I had a challenge with that this summer. My nervous system was fried when I was done, and I can still step back into that activation where I get almost too sensitive or too hyper, and I have to I use sound, I use grounding techniques, and I remove myself from anything that's activating me. Even if it upsets other people, I'll pull myself out. I can't stay in the now as much as I need to when I'm activated like that, because my mind starts to go fast. And that's new for me because I've been pretty centered. But it's showing that the activation is real. So, what they told me is make sure I share with you that grounding creates if you're not grounded, you can become unstable. Now, how does that? It affects the nervous system regulation, it affects our mental health, and it can cause us physical harm. So they've asked us to really work on grounding techniques, whatever works for you. And I won't go much longer into that point. The last piece of it is humans are the mobile nodes in the grid. So, especially awakened humans like yourselves who are seeking reality in a new way, constantly, I call seeking because I feel like seekers are people that don't just settle. They know that there's something bigger going on. And your activation, your seeking is actually activating the nodes on earth that are going to bring the divine timeline in place. So your role is pretty important. And I know that the cosmic family that we have, such as the Octurians, have huge reverence for us because I think they realize how tough this is in some way, and I'm not sure how. Anyway, so I was asking, what does daily life look like in this new timeline for us to handle what's happening as we turn on, as everything around us is stimulated? What do we do? And they told me a few examples. They said, walk with awareness, Pause before action. Let the body settle down before making any decisions. So I've actually started giving myself 24 hours before I make any decisions. Even if somebody's pushing me, I say, let me sleep on it. Some people don't want to hear that. It's like, no, sorry, I got to sleep on it. I want to get out of this timeline. I want to get into my divine timeline, and then I want to come back and make a decision. So the one thing they said is invite awareness into your body. You have to give yourself permission to do that. They're asking you to bring it in. Last piece of this that I want to share, and then I do have a message from the Arcturians direct for this group, and I asked them to give it to me word for word. I want to share it with you. Made me cry when I heard it, read it. The calm embodied humans are the transmission. You are the transmission into the new timeline. It's quite profound, isn't it?
It's weird.
No urgency, no fear, just coherence. That's all they're asking for. They said the new harmonic future isn't built by those who know the most, but by those who are present.
That's how you started this talk, presence.
And the last piece of it, each of us is the node on the Earth's lattice. As we root with love and coherence, the future of light is born, not as a concept, but as a frequency lived through us. Okay, last piece. This is a message. I'm going to try not to get emotional reading it. I asked, what is the message from the Arcturians to this group? And this is their words in quotes. We greet you in harmonic resonance. The codes you carry are ancient, yes, but they are also present and alive, ever renewing within your DNA and your felt sense of earth. The weaving of the grid and the guardian, not only an act of remembrance, but of sacred stewardship. In these times of awakening, it is those who root deeply into the planetary body who can anchor the light most purely. Let your presence be your power. Let your stillness be your song. And let your joy be the opening through which the old stars return. You are not waiting for a future. You are the convergence point of past, present, and becoming. Stand in that convergence, and the grids will sing in return. I'll send that to you, Jackie, so you have a copy of it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So, I do want to talk about one other thing. When we were in Peru, we spent a lot of time at headwaters, and there's a place called Snow Star. It's a place, if you want to Google it or do a search on it, it's a place where sometimes up to 100,000 people do a pilgrimage in August to collect the ice of that mountain. And now they actually have to permit the numbers that go up because it became too sought after. Because everyone who's awake and aware knows they want that ice. And it's because the ancient codes are stored in water and the oldest codes are in our ice. So, for those of you who live near mountains with glaciers, you're in a land where the codes are very active. And for those who don't live by glaciers, there's a reason you are where you are. But the key to remembering and activating your codes with ease, with gentleness, with love, is water. So spend some time near natural water. have a communication with water, put some offerings in water. Do what you're called to do because it will be very helpful in the next year or so. While things do what they do and people get emotional, we need to stay grounded. So that's my official sharing. Um,
Cindy,
yeah,
you mentioned the importance of water in activating these codes. We did our conference just this last fall in September, and the theme was water. So, because we've been hearing a lot about water becoming activated. So it's really interesting that you say that.
yeah, I use crystals and water a lot. So I collect water in sacred places. One of the places I love to go is Field, BC, to that really powerful, it's called the Natural Bridge. If you look it up on the internet, you'll see the water is really, really pure there. Um, I go and I collect that water. I have bottles of about 7 waters that I go and I collect after I've done ceremony, and I use that water different ways. A lot of times I'm asked to put crystals in those waters and activate those crystals, and then I place them in places I've been guided to do that. So a lot of our mountain crystals were placed in Egypt because we went to something like, I can't remember, 12 sacred temples, and a crystal landed in every one of them because there had been so much distortion and hardship and so much negative timelines operating there. The codes had to be turned back on. And so, the one thing I think would be really important for you, Jackie, and everyone who's involved in this healing work, the stewardship is trust what you're getting and what you need to do because it's collective work at this point.
I had it. I have a walk that I go on, but I've kind of sort of built it into a really neat sort of a sacred walk. And it's on a hillside. It's a deer trail, but it overlooks the mountains and the lake. But I built little nukshucks along the walk, like almost 200 of them. And at the spring equinox of last year, um, I had just like you said, I'm telling you this story because of what you said about uh, trusting that you're doing, trust what you're being guided to do. I think that's what you said. And
Yep.
so I felt guided to do a little special Inukshuk with a couple of small ones there um, in honor of the spring equinox. And then when we just passed this winter equinox, um, as well, like a month ahead of time, I was thinking, it kept coming into my mind. You've got to build something on an exact line with where you did the spring equinox, but do another equinox for the solstices, or not an
Yep.
equinox, but another special marker for that. And so I did. I built some stuff and a couple of nukshucks and made that special spot and lined it up with the other, like from one end and then the other end of the path. Not exactly, but a line. And then I imagined when on the 21st there that those lines were exactly lined up and there were some markers in the middle and that it activated a huge dome of light that's anchored in there because I put light all along the path every time I walk it. But
Yep.
I imagined this big dome of light, and I went out there today, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm already in the dome. Cool, you know. And just I don't know, just you're just imagining it. But I haven't told anyone, but now I told all of you guys. But I was just feeling to do that. Is that's what you're talking about? Is it?
Yeah. And and the thing that I was told is the heart-centered people who are here to do the work for the greater good, not just focused on themselves, but here in service. There is a difference. Um, they're going to be the ones that are most actioned right now because it's the heart coherence that allows for those messages to come through clearly without distortion. Because the grids in which we live right now and the collective, the human thought has a lot of distortion. So that's something you could do if you're an energy clear is to clear all distortions, both in and around you, in and around your home, in and around your family. You have every right to clear distortion because it's harmful to those who have to sit in it. And so if so someone says, well, free will, I clear my sister. How is that ethically and morally correct? Well, if you have to sit within that setting with your sister, for example, and she has huge distortions running, it impacts you. Therefore, the alignment is I clear all distortions that are harmful to me and my loved ones, or to me and my home, or to the work that I'm doing. Distortion is the biggest word change I had happen this summer.
I like that word. That's a good word. That describes a lot.
It is, it's all encompassing,
It
isn't it?
encompasses a lot. Yeah, it's a powerful word.
And it's true that distortion, I was told distortion is the absence of light. So we're moving into a light timeline, so we need to clear those distortions. Otherwise, it gets chaotic. It's just like that magnifying glass with the sunlight on the paper. Things get hot. So I think this year I have followed a few people here and there. Um, I sometimes I'm told I can't because they want me to be available to the messages coming through and not influenced by others. But I am attracted to certain themes and information, just like everyone is. And I've listened to a few people about what's going on for this year. And it was interesting. One day I was told, well, the more you focus on that, so shall it be. The coders in that are walking right now need to focus on their higher selves and what they're asked to do because we're change agents. And so it was funny because I've had those experiences like this last couple of weeks. I think something and it happens immediately. Not always to me either. Sometimes it happens to people around me, and I think, okay, was the chicken or the egg part there? And a lot of times it's, well, you thought about it. Did you clear the distortion? And it's like, well, I didn't know that it was a distortion. I'm learning to realize that thought can be distorted. I knew it, but I don't know how it always works within my own reality, but I'm starting to see it clearer. Is that the minute a distortion shows up where I'm like, oh, I don't really want that to happen. Example, my water just froze recently. Um, and I'd had that thought that my water was going to freeze. And you think, well, maybe it was just an intuition. I'm sure we've all in this group have intuition. But the next step is to actually clear the distortion that would create the water freezing.
Oh, that's what you mean.
So I did freeze. I did freeze up. I didn't have any water in my residence. I live in an old cabin, and the message I got was, "Well, clear the grief that's frozen in your land." So I did. I did that work, and then I asked, "Okay, what do I need to do?" And I was told to burn sage in this whole area. And one area I went to, there was something I noticed that needed to be fixed physically. And I mentioned it to my husband, and he fixed it right away. And then I got told, you will have the answer. And the next day, my husband said, I had this thought about this pipe part that because we have heat lines everywhere. And he goes, this pipe doesn't have a heat line. And I said, isn't it interesting? I saw that too when I was saging. I saw it. I didn't hear. I didn't know what I was thinking or seeing, but he got the message. So if we clear the distortions in and around us, the people around us are also positively impacted. See what I'm trying to say? And we've all probably known that, that's why we douse or clear or do land offerings or sage. But it's becoming really quick now. I don't know if anybody else, what's your thoughts on that?
I could say something. Hello.
Hi.
Please do.
So presence, like you said, right? So the the passage of time is part of the paradox. It's an illusion that there is even a present, there is a future that you're moving into and a past you're moving away from. Conceptually, we already get that, right? So there isn't really much to shift or do. It's just to come back into presence because it's all happening in one moment. Yeah.
It's hard to equate in the mind that remembers childhood. I have trouble with it too. I totally get what you're saying. But I guess my weakness is I like to draw from the past because there's a reference of who I am. Or what do you think about that too? Like it's
Well,
it's
you
a
know,
defining, right? It's a
I
defining.
know. I would paint this picture if I could. If you imagine you have a line and this line has no beginning and no end, and you decided that what you wanted to experience was something else. So you created an arc. So the arc began, and the moment it began was the moment of the beginning of the temporary experience. So in that moment, you actually broke from eternity and you created temporariness. You created time by creating the arc. And the arc eventually comes back and completes, and you go back into eternity. But eternity never stops. It's always been eternity. You just open the arc, and now we're closing it. So who were you before the arc? And who you are after the arc is the same as who you are in the moment in between the arc, in the arc. So who you are is Cindi, but also who you were before, also your mother, also your grandmother. Everyone in your lineage is who you are. And everyone in everyone else's lineage who is here is who you are. So do you get what I'm getting at? And it's just the mind wants to argue that because, well, my name is Mehdi apparently. So right.
So going one step further, because I'm absolutely resonating with what you're saying, is that the convergence that they speak of, where all and nothing is in alignment at the same time. Hence why the ability to co-create so fast is because we're coming closer and closer to the time without an arc.
Right. So I can't, yes, but I also can't really answer that question because it's meant to be unanswerable.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
the
if I
no
could chime in,
thing.
if I could
Yes.
chime in, I think that that's spot on. Uh, it's too much for the analytical mind to grasp or to understand. We can try to express it, we can try to, but we're coming into um, we're coming into this ascension period in of infinite possibilities. Who can comprehend that? And we're coming into infinite, we're here on this Mother Terra Christa maybe for 5 minutes in the grand scheme of things, maybe not even that much.
Mm.
And so it's just woof. I mean, we're everything that ever was, and we're all of everything that ever was. And so it's really hard to intellectualize it. I find when I'm talking to people, I can't do justice. You all are doing, great at expressing, where we're at and what we're doing and everything. But and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the grounding. I feel that that's important. Just getting outdoors, period, is grounding because the air is connected to ground, and and so for me, that's the nature walks. Go walk in Mother Nature, but I sleep every night with a copper wire that's plugged into the ground. And so that's directly to ground. And so I feel like I'm grounding all night long, every night. And I can actually feel like I have injuries, from uh, all kinds of things. But I can feel the that trauma just seeping out. I can feel it. And so it's really quite interesting. I was going to say something else. Oh yeah, I've been really, really active my entire life. Just go, 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 go. And in the back of my mind, I know that there's a purpose. It's just not workaday world or workaday world every day, all day. That's not my main purpose for being here. So always in the back of my mind, I know there's a purpose. And so recently I had another injury, and so I had to discontinue work, and I had to go into it was a WCB, so I did that rehab program and whatnot, and so I had to kind of retire because the discomfort of me, doing what I was doing before, what I was good at doing before, I was unable to do it, and to be. Uh, doing a good job. I mean, I can do the job, but to do it all day, every day, no. So anyway, that kind of helped me into this where I'm at now is I have chance to take a breath, and I have chosen more solitude as opposed to, I used to be always mingling and always, busy doing this, that, and everything else and mingling with other people. I find that the solitude right now is helping me more and more and more to do that inner work of finding the, uh, why am I here? And I'm finding the answers through that solitude and doing that inner work. And, so when you say I think you mentioned it speeding up and speeding up and speeding up, and I am finding that, you know, it's, I know it's not a marathon, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You can only do and take in so much of the codes, the light codes,
Yeah.
and reconcile and get rid of all the mind chatter and reconcile, in the heart center and to make sense of it all. And if I just compare myself to, where I was at a year ago, I see a tremendous amount of difference. Anyway, I think I said enough. Thank you. It's a great call, and I appreciate you, Jackie. I've listened to presentations before. Cindi, I really liked your presentation, and I've listened to Jackie's presentations before, and I really appreciate both of you.
Thanks, Stan, and thanks for sharing.
Yes, thanks, Stan. You know what I just kept seeing, and it's a metaphor, but I think I needed to see it. You're reflecting back to me. It's I was in service for 20 years with people, and then that shifted this summer to service to the land. And I feel like sometimes when we leave something, it's because we finished that mission. And like anything, sometimes we need that in breath for sure to reset how we think. At least I do. I won't speak for anybody else. I needed an in breath to move my thoughts from one place to another so that I could be open to learn. Because when I was so busy, I was I wasn't learning. And when the Octurians started downloading to me things that blew my mind, like mind blowing information that I wasn't sure I was even ready for, I could not have possibly heard that while I was in service to my clients because I was still in that operating mode, if that's the word. And I almost feel like some of these breaks, and I'm sorry you were injured, Stan, but some of these breaks are exactly that. We're stopped from the momentum arc that we're in so that we can hear something, see something, feel something different than we've always felt. And that, for me, anyways, has been part of this ascension process that I didn't expect, by the way. Um, I didn't expect it. I felt like I was on the momentum of working with the land, working with clients, working with ceremony, doing work for the collective in other ways. And that all had to shift for me to actually hear the Octurians and start to believe, now hear this, that they would actually speak to me. Because it was always everybody else that was getting that opportunity. I never, ever thought that was possible. And then I started having dreams. I was on these ships. And then I had these other things happen. And it was almost like a bridge had to be built before I'd actually believe what was happening was happening. But I can't speak the language that they speak. It's not in my, it's not in my belief system. It's not in my upbringing. It's not in the now that I know, but I'm learning it. So the invocation or the intention I said at the very beginning, they helped me write. And they helped me write a lot. Now, they want me to write a book. And I laugh because I'm like, well, did you help me write shifting timelines? Because like that wasn't in my wheelhouse either. And I fought it because I'm like, who am I to talk about timelines? I'd had a big timeline jump when I wrote that book. And it was bizarre what happened to me. But then all the words started to come to me. But then it was, well, my higher self speaking to me. This is my higher self guiding me on this book, not a cosmic group that is out there, but the
Yeah, that's
truth.
different, isn't it?
It's a mind blowing moment. Yeah. But I'm going to say this to you, and I'm saying all of this to you for reasons that I need to say. And again, I'm just trusting what I'm getting is hear what I say. Don't block what's coming. If it feels from a place of love, try to tune in because I'm not the only one they're picking to work through right now.
Hmm.
That's what I want to say. The ground crew is online. They have to be because this ascension needs a ground crew. And we're coming out of a lot of fakery. There was a lot of distortion. And the ones that are heart centered are the ones they're going to pick because they can speak clearer to you than the ones who have all this ego going. And I had to fine tune my ego too, believe me, before. I still work on that the rest of my life probably, but honestly, I just want to share that with you because I think we can all go around and say, oh, the Pleiadians are talking. I never believed in any of that stuff, by the way. I was land-based spirituality. And I now believe that they've been speaking to me all my life and protecting me all my life. I now get it, but I'm learning.
The Arcturians, you mean?
Yep. And you know what? They're not easy sometimes because they have a different approach than, say, what I used to call the angels or the land spirits, the river waters, the mountain spirits. I have all these archetypes that I believe I have worked with, but this is a totally different ride. And I'm not the only one. There's people on this call that you needed to hear what they had to say today. So because they're getting busy with us because there are things that have to get done and they really want you to recognize your light codes. You're very important. You're very important in this shift.
I love that. I do one other thing, and anybody's feedback is most welcome. But we came into this incarnation completely mind wiped with amnesia, let's say. And so little bit by little bit, all of our lives have got us to where we are now. And we're each on a kind of a separate timeline, and there is collective timelines happening as well. But the DNA that we have, supposedly we're functioning on two strands of DNA.
We were.
Yeah, we were. And so DNA, talking about crystals, that's what our DNA is made up of. And we need to activate our DNA so we can function on 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to the 12 of the strands of DNA. And so it's kind of a progression, we receive some light codes and we deal with it, we absorb it, we deal with it, and we grow. And so to me, I'm just wondering, because our body is 90% water or whatever, 80 to 90% water, if we and our DNA is comprised of crystalline DNA, is it helpful to ask spirit, which we all are, to activate our crystalline DNA, and the dormant DNA, so that we can receive more incoming light codes? I don't know, does that make any sense?
Can't avoid it. You
I
can't
went,
avoid
who was speaking?
it. Maddie, hi.
Hi, Maddie.
You can't avoid it. It's a resolution of an energy, and it will resolve, and it can't be avoided. That means also that there's nothing necessarily that you can do to make it faster or make it now. You just have to be present because you can't avoid it.
Well, I want to add to that though, because
Sure.
the elders told us, if you're okay with this, that water is super important as an entrainment element. When I started going in 2008 and I think I spent 7 trips with the Caro and elders. Every time I went, we did sacred ceremony in the mountains. And the number one thing that they always took us to were the holy waters. And the reason for that is because it helps clear distortion. And the more clear you are of your distortions or other people's distortions or the collective distortion or the land distortions in which you live, and if you hear all those different distortion influences in your life, your family distortions, if you can keep those clear, then the awakening process is easier. And you're right, we cannot avoid it. But I was told that, and I actually have the notes here to read it quickly. I didn't read that statement, but they said,
They being the Arcturians?
yeah, the earth is not lagging behind our awakening. She is the stabilizing intelligence. So, a super important statement because the instability is going to continue to increase because of the nodes and the distortions that are clearing. But if you can entrain, or you can wire, or you can communicate with, or you can attach yourself to whatever words work for you to a stabilizing force, then the winds will blow and you won't move. So you're absolutely right. We don't get to we don't get to jump ship on this one. It's going to happen regardless if we're ready or not. However, your DNA is turning on. I was told that, there's been a lot of talk in the open forums, the open-minded forums around med beds. But we are the med bed. Our DNA can heal. Our DNA turning on will release distortion that created disease. A lot of the distortion in our bodies are not even our own. We were born with it because we took on our family's distortions, our mother or our father or our grandparents. I mean, the elders say we carry 7 generations of distortion. So if you can stick your feet in a holy river, I'm not talking a river that runs through, I'm not talking about a river that runs through the middle of a city. If that's all you can do, it's better than nothing. So I'm not criticizing it. However, if you can go to the holy waters and collect a bottle of water, like just a bottle of water, I actually have all my waters labeled, surrounded with selenite. I know where they come from because every water body has a different purpose. And you put a drop of that water in your bath. The frequency of that river will recode the water in which you bath in. And you do that, you release more distortion, especially when you set the intention you're releasing distortion. And as you release your distortion and the light comes in and activates your DNA, coherence is the number one word around capability of alignment with the divine codes and the light and the land frequencies. And you holding those two in alignment, your DNA is turning on more than you realize. And then guess what happens is you start to walk around when you're at work, Stan, or when you go out to see family. You walk into the room with those codes on, turned on, and everyone around you is positively impacted. So you see the importance of our awareness and also that we've got this. We really have this. This is us. We're the and I say this to people, but it's such an understatement. I'm not trying to pump everybody's ego up by saying this, but we are the ones we've been waiting for. We incarnated for this time to do the work that we are doing. And it doesn't mean we have to do, I mean, in fact, I think sometimes it's better to, for me, anyways, I need time to be more and not do so much because then I can give my body a chance to handle the light and the codes that are turning on. Because if I get out of alignment or I get out of coherence, I get into doing, then what happens is I get more stressed out, then my body actually starts to shut me down. I start to either get, I've gotten sick twice this fall. Like I never get sick, but I got sick twice, and both times I was told, you need to go. And that's what happened. And it wasn't a bad thing. I actually think I detoxed both times, but it wasn't common for me. But I needed that reset so that I could give my DNA a chance to assist my body with what was changing.
I can relate to that so much. I used to be on Zoom calls just like this, but more so they were world events type calls, and they've got a lot of merit. I mean, everybody wants solutions. Like, Alberta is talking about this independence movement, and I think that's all great. But I was on calls like that and many other calls, you know, people wanting solutions, and nobody. I guess there's a few calls that are focusing on the spiritual end of it, but for the most part, it's political or finance, solutions and all that kind of stuff. And at, I had to quit doing a lot of them calls. I still tune in every once in a while just to get a feel of the pulse of what's going on out there. Um, but with a call like this here, it is to me is the solution. Remembering who we are, as spiritual beings. And you just mentioned it, as we receive the light codes, that spreads out, to all the people around us and Mother Nature around us and everything. And to me, that might be the solution as opposed to all of the reactivity and the arguing that can go on with a lot of these other calls, which again, I mean, I'm not running those people down at all. They're looking for answers and solutions, and they all have merit. But yeah,
But that's where they are in their awakening right now.
yeah,
It isn't that they're wrong, and it's like maybe this is 150 lifetimes they've done, and mostly here on Earth, while there was a lot of distorted timelines. So their convergence is messy,
yeah.
and I got a feel for them, right? I've been lucky. I I remember timelines where I wasn't here, and um, I've had a break from distortion, and so maybe that's why I'm back. I don't know. Maybe that's why I said, sure, let's do this. But the key is, I don't know anything. I have to be present every day and be willing to learn something every day because even what I knew or what I thought I knew uh, had a form of distortion in it.
Well,
And
I always said I feel like that I'm in kindergarten. Maybe I'm not even there yet.
but your DNA is not in kindergarten.
Well, that's different. Like that's all knowing, right? I mean, your spiritual essence is all knowing, right? And it's just the trick is to get our physical and our yeah, it's hard to express, but yeah, it's we are all knowing, and we have just forgotten. Like I said before, you know, we came into this incarnation totally with amnesia.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway, thank you.
Cindy,
Yeah.
how would you define light code?
It's a frequency. It's a frequency that carries a package of information. What did they say here? Increased coherence between Earth and solar cosmic cycles. Um, it's compare it to the resonance, the harmonic entrainment, and the informational fields. So it's a packet of information. If I can use a different term for a second, I think it'll help because it's coming to me really clearly. When you owned Microsoft 8, and then Microsoft 10, I think, came in, and then Microsoft 11 came in. I don't know where it is now. I don't own a Microsoft computer, I own a Mac. But when 10 ran, it ran under a certain group of programs. And then when 10 came in, it was another set of programs. And then 11 came in, it's another set of programs. Well, that's the light codes. They're a set of programs that perhaps the word comes to me carry less distortion at basically at the highest frequency, no distortion. That's source code. Isn't it interesting, those words? Source code. Where are
Yes,
we? Where are we right now? Where are we living in? Are we living in something that is helping us to learn about choices and learn about different things? And you could get into the simulation theory, you could get into, again, I'm told not to get distracted with that stuff, but what I am told is there is really high frequencies and there's really low dense frequencies. And as the light codes come in that are new information, our own information that relates to those source codes are turning back on in our DNA because we were turned off, so to speak. There's been a lot of distortion in the convergence of all these timelines. Think about it another way. If you're listening to 10 channels simultaneously on a radio, what the heck do you think that sounds like?
Cacophony.
But if you start to fine tune your channels and you start to get your classic, your divine music going, and you all those other channels start to turn off, what happens? That's kind of what's happening. Some of the distortion channels that we've been living within are turning off, or they're getting louder, some cases. But where are you tuning to? Where are you tuning to right now? And the number one thing I can tell you, if you can hold convergence, if you can hold alignment with the light and the earth and hear your divine presence, then you have the equation for that DNA to reset itself or turn back on to that clean channel. And as you clean up your channel, it isn't even the doing so much. I used to do a lot of ceremony. Oh my God. Well, you know that, Jackie. We talked about it.
Mm.
I've done a lot of ceremony worldwide. I've been so blessed to sit and watch the elders. And then, of course, as I'm watching and learning from them, I think I have to emulate that. I have to do that. And slowly over time, I've learned that I just need to be present. And I do offerings, thanking the earth and thanking the light and having those divine conversations. But I don't have to shake my rattle for an hour to get in alignment anymore. My channels have cleaned up. All of our channels are cleaning up, regardless if you believe it or not, because the light codes are hitting the earth, are cleaning up our channels. and the DNA is turning on. And as our DNA turns on, the best thing to do is be available to something new, because we can't know everything anymore, because those DNA changes are going to affect everything that we've experienced yesterday to today. It's a totally the elders say we die to the old self every night that we go to bed,
Mhm.
right? But it's even bigger than that now, because we don't have 2000 timelines that we've lived in this Western world, for example. I believe we're all in the West here. Um, we've had a lot of nonsense and not a lot of spiritual strength in our reality. And we've been distracted. But if you can get into your own alignment, I can tell you, like, I work for a seniors group, putting senior programs together and stuff for volunteer. And I woke up this morning for one of our events. I was told to go buy green marbles. Like, you think that's crazy, right? Like, I used to think about how I could change the world, where I had to go sit to do ceremony, and when I had, no, go buy these 50 green marbles and do a contest with green, like a guessing contest. That's just as important as going and doing a crystal in one of the rivers. It is. Because if you positively impact 50 people with your light codes turned on,
Right, right, right.
then they turn on.
Yeah, we can spread it as we go. Heather, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. This has been so beautiful to hear, so appreciative. I wanted to ask you, you said something at the beginning of your talk. You said walk with awareness, pause, and I didn't get the rest. I was wondering if you recall. It just was really beautiful, and I wanted to write it down.
Okay, let me go back to my notes so that I'm clear with what I'm sharing with you. Walking with awareness, pausing before action, letting the body settle before making decisions.
Thank you.
There's one more. Choosing fewer practices, but done more deeply. Being present. That actually speaks to what I just said. I used to do a lot of ceremony everywhere thinking I was changing the world, and it's like, overrated. The Arcturians have been hard on me, my ego, really.
I was going to say maybe this is part of the humbling that you've been that you mentioned earlier that you've been that you said was important, and I agree with you. It's very important.
Yeah, I I used to think I was humble, but it's fun. It's kind of fun because it's making my life simpler and easier.
It also doesn't make anything wrong, Cindy. I mean, Windows 7 was awesome, or whatever, Windows 8, like at the time, right? So yeah, evolution. Thank you for sharing. Just beautiful stuff. I love the way I'm experiencing so much mind blowing quickness and synchronicity. Um, Today, just randomly, I won't get into the story of how I ended up there, but I ended up on a woman, an acquaintance, who is a barefoot walker and walked the Camino 57 times barefoot. She's Canadian, and
Well,
I was just drawn into her, and I actually didn't get along with this person, so I was drawn into her whole website today, and just learned so much about her. She's obviously a light worker, connecting with the earth, and her whole purpose has been to connect people with the earth. and discover grounding. So that was my experience today prior to this evening. So that's how, so that even happened before your affirmation of that. So to me, that's really mystical and I love it. I love what's happening. So I just thought I'd share that with you, where you say, be mindful, pay attention and listen. So yeah, anyway, it's beautiful what's happening.
Yeah,
And
that's a great example, Diane.
I see it in people around me as well. Yeah, I see young people who perhaps haven't had any of the experiences or training or life experiences that the people on this call have had. I had the beautiful experience of witnessing a couple of young people just come into their power. Um, and it was beautiful. It was life changing for my family, this moment. And so, yeah, just amazing things are happening. When I came back to work, my work week has been reduced to 2 days. So all of a sudden, I have all this time to just be and not do so much. So yeah, it's happening. But thank you, Cindi, for sharing.
You're welcome. I wonder if those young people, I think there's a few on this call. I wonder if this is this is a thought. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, but I believe their codes are different than our codes. They came in with different codes because that's why they were born when they were born. I was born in the 60s, and a set of codes in the 60s maybe might be a bit different than a set of codes that were born in the 50s. And not everybody turns on and not everybody wakes up. You almost wonder, hey, what the percentage is. It doesn't matter. The right ones, the ones that are supposed to turn on or said yes or whatever that, however that works in the big picture, doesn't matter. But I really feel like when I say we've got this, I have I get emotional when I say I have such incredible respect and gratitude to Source and to the divine architects of this reality who somehow knew what was needed. And at times I question if they were listening, but honestly, it gets quite profound and it's getting more and more profound, you know? So to know nothing is probably a good start now for me. What I knew 5 years ago, and what I knew 10 years ago, what I trained with the elders has changed. It's funny, like I had to work really hard to build the mesa. And I don't know how, I don't know. I think I think a whole mesa's gone into the river more than once. And now I'm pretty well down to a mesa this big. And what that means is I have crystals connected to a few water bodies that are really divine water, and a couple of my own personal little stories, including one of my little dog paw of one of my beloved guardians that's since passed. But my stories aren't important anymore. They defined me, but they also held me in bondage for a while, and I'm done with that. I'm done with that. My stories need to evolve like I am. So I don't even use the word shaman anymore, and yet everybody called me a shaman for how many years, right? But I'm past that too.
It's like you were saying before about letting go of belief systems. Esther, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, a few things. Um, I was at a workshop and we were doing eye gazing, and I can't remember exactly what the topic was, but my partner said, "You are the message." And I wonder, well, what does that mean? But anyway, what you're saying makes sense now. I get it, right? Uh, I do counseling, and I was doing some drumming while this man was holding feathers. Um, and he did his usual invocation, and then he was silent, and I was drumming for about 12 minutes. But at one point, one of the feathers turned 360 degrees, but his fingers weren't moving. He said it was if something was turning the feather. And then it turned all the way back and then a little bit forward again. And sometimes his arm would do a little movement. This was his right arm. And I got, after when we were debriefing, I got that it was a download, and I just checked whether it was codes, something to do with the codes. And yes, it is. So anyway, yeah, it was. Yeah, so thank you so much for your information. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thanks for sharing. What do feathers mean to you?
Well, it's like a tool that is multi-purpose, and I just use the feathers as guided to use them. But I got that it was an antenna in this case.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And see, isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah, and I had that was the condor. Was it the condor feather he had? Yes, it was condor feather that was turning. The one in the other hand was an eagle feather, but yeah.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And you're the messenger.
And I'm the messenger. Well, it said I am the message, but I still and I connected it with the emerald tablet. But anyway, I'm still pursuing that one. It's just that the message is in me. That's how I interpret that, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You are the message, might be your presence, Esther.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's certainly required. Yeah. Yeah.
You definitely have presence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all do, but I mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. You've got me in another timeline. So in a really great one. And yeah, I want to if I can share a quick story with you. I used to do a lot of ceremony with people with community. Community is very important to me, and we had a lot of gatherings in a teepee. We have land in an area where there's no Wi-Fi and no electricity, and it was great space. Anyways, one day we were given a condor feather. That was one thing. Our teachers were had some rules, and they said, anyways, we were given a condor feather by a complete stranger when we were in Cusco. We went to a place called Saxe Woman, and we did ceremony. And this man came over to my husband, and it was this tiny little feather. It was a feather that he had a crystal on, and I believe there was a little bit of owl feather there. And we didn't make it. We had purchased it here in Canada, or someone had gifted it to us. I can't remember. This is like 15 years ago. Anyways, the man loved this feather, and he was trying to speak with us, but our Spanish was terrible back then. It still is, actually, I must be honest. But we couldn't communicate with him. And he's like, no, no, uno minuto, like 1 minute, right? Anyways, he runs away, and Bob and I are looking at each other like, what? and he came back with a condor feather, a really big one. And we were told it's kind of illegal to take them out of the country and da 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 da. I'm taking it. It's been gifted, and we got it out and we got it home without being checked. And I finally got it wrapped probably about 10 years ago with an eagle feather, also was gifted to us. And I was in ceremony. I had a lot of feathers in this wrap. A friend of mine did it, and she put white wolf on it, which really hit me hard because I was told that white wolf is was one of my benefactors, and she didn't know that. And then she had white wolf fur, and she had wrapped this and handed it to me when I asked her to do it for me. I hired her to do it for me because I trusted her, and she said, "By the way, there's white wolf on it." I burst into tears. And anyway, so I was pretty attached to this beautiful feather had because it had the condor, the eagle, and a bunch of other feathers, including owl and everything. Anyways, one day we're in ceremony. It was full. We were full in the teepee, and I moved it over just ever so gently. And there was a candle burning underneath, and it burnt the condor feather. And I looked down at it and I went, okay, that's interesting. But when you pulled it up, it looked like an owl.
Mm.
And I had owl medicine keep showing up in different ways, and I was ignoring it. And I still haven't stepped into that because it's almost like I'm not ready because it's considered one of the highest teachings in our own Indigenous teachings here in Canada. Owl medicine's very sacred and very kept secret, to be honest with you. But it's not time. I just wanted to say that there's the detachment or the unattachment from what we believe to be accurate. I had my condor feather become an owl feather.
Mm.
And I had to be okay with it. It was nothing that would change that, right?
Interesting.
It is. So you brought me right to that play. There's that timeline jump. As you're speaking, and I'm grateful for your words of wisdom. I went right to that timeline and reminded myself that's fluidity. It's about being fluid and being available to the message today, not what I thought the message was. And it may have nothing to do with owl medicine now. It's
Right.
about, you said, I don't know exactly what you said, but you said it just hit me. I felt it versus heard it. I believe you said something like the light is in me, or the message is in me. Yeah. That was wisdom that you shared with me that I took in. So I agree. You are the wisdom. Thank you, Esther.
Okay, thank you, Cindi.
Does anyone else have a question for Cindi while we've got her here for a few more minutes? And also, does anybody, it'd be nice to hear from anybody who would like to share, especially those that haven't shared yet today. Maybe you have a story. Cindi was talking about things speeding up, the synchronicities, and whether or not you've noticed it. Have you noticed things in your own life, your own thinking? Would anyone like to share a story or ask Cindi a question about something she's raised today?
And was so successful that it was reused again and again throughout all the Tarzan film. Another unique creative choice was not to use
Okay, you're thinking about it. Stick your hand up if you change your mind and if you'd like to. Was there, you said at the beginning that you might want to go over a grounding technique, Cindi, or have we sort of done that with the discussion about water and so on?
We can talk a little bit about two things that I think might be helpful because of the year we have ahead. I think that's a really great question, Jackie. Because water is is a resetter of our own water. Like I said, you can put a drop of water from a holy place. If you can't get out to the mountains, or you can't hike to a headwaters, you can ask someone to do it for you as long as they leave an offering, like some tobacco or sugar. Ask them to collect some water for you, just as special water. And remember, it doesn't matter, as long as you're clear with the intentions, it affects the water and what's received from that water. So if you're having trouble emotionally or mentally, you're affected empathically by other people, you're experiencing anyone around you who's angry or hurt or volatile, you know, use water to clear your own waters, because we can take on other energies and often we sleep it off. But because of the time speeding up, or not even the time, it's the wrong word, because frequency is shifting and things are moving so quickly now with our experiences, we want to keep holding remember our alignment. Water is one of the best ways to do that. If you're at work, some of you are still working, you can go and put your hands underwater, even though it's got chemicals in it. If you're in the city, set the intentional distortion is not there. You release the distortion. You can do that. And you can just wash your hands in water and literally release any emotions or energy you've taken on that doesn't feel good. The more you can attune back to your alignment, the less physical rest you're going to need. The more you're out of alignment from other influences, you're going to need to sleep it off more. You're going to need to sleep as our friend right now, or we're not sleeping at all. Like I spent 5 days not sleeping this last week because I had a lot going on in my head, and I don't do well in my head. Not because I just don't, I'm not comfortable there anymore. So I was forced out of my comfort zone. So I had to do a little more release work. So water was one way I did it. The other thing, regarding grounding, a lot of people use crystals to help them, right? And that's fantastic with the light codes. You can put a crystal in sunlight right now and charge that crystal and then sleep with it, for example. But during the day, carry stones. Don't carry crystals. If you're working throughout the day and need to stay grounded, utilize Mother Earth. You can carry pine cones. You can carry anything that you relate to. Listen to bird songs. Bird songs, like the birds, we were told this. I did not know this, but the birds actually attune Earth every morning. That's why they start singing it around 5. They're the tuners of the grids. You know, the architect of this reality is brilliant. And so the grids get retuned. So they have a really high frequency. So bird songs, really great YouTube videos online with find something that without distortion. Just say, I'm looking for something that is without distortion. Help me find it. Set the intention, then start looking, and you'll find one without distortion. You
So
can do that.
holding a stone or carrying a stone with you, as opposed to a crystal,
Yep.
will be more grounding.
Yep.
Whereas carrying a crystal would be more activating, more connecting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Activation.
Yeah.
So if you think about it this way, thanks, Jacqueline, for, I don't know if I should call you Jackie or Jacqueline, but
It doesn't matter.
I love Jacqueline. If you are a plant, you are a plant-like being connected to the earth. And the plant is in the soil, but it's getting a lot of light, water, and rest are the two number one things that that plant needs when it gets a lot of light. Correct?
Ah,
So we don't always have to drink like a gallon. Well, some people do, but it's not always about the intake of water. Sometimes it is. Everybody's different. You're all different kinds of plants. But water is absolutely necessary for us to clear our own waters because entrainment is happening. But when we're out in the world, we can't always carry water or we can't always use water. So stones are a way to connect us to that grid, if that makes sense. So when I would go into the hospital to see family who were very sick, I would carry a stone with me. I wouldn't carry a crystal. I needed to be present to handle what was going on. That's that no bypassing that I talked about. You can't bypass. When you are present, you can transform anything that is happening in your reality. So even when something difficult is happening and you're watching a loved one in trouble or suffering, if you can hold presence and say, I ask for the highest outcome in this situation and I ask the light to bring healing, whatever your words are, then you're a transformer at that moment for everybody concerned. And the more you can be clear with your words and your focus presence, darkness can't enter. It can't. It just isn't possible. Or that's when you're in your office maybe and somebody comes in and you're like, I'm focused, I'm in presence, and no distortion can enter my space. And the next thing you know, this person who can sometimes be a negative Nelly gets a call and they have to leave. That's how powerful we are. I have quickly tell you, I have somebody I'm working with who can be very difficult. And I got an email today via someone else saying they can't get an email to you. I didn't say that specifically don't email me, but I do set intentions that distortion doesn't affect my life. You see what I'm saying?
I'm going to start doing that.
It works. It annoys people that have a lot of distortion though, but it's not personal. When you speak truth and integrity and request to keep your frequency high and in alignment, the universe takes care of it. It's not even you that takes care of it. So it's not personal, is it?
Right.
Right?
Well, and there's your humility again, is
Yeah.
realizing that.
Yeah, we're powerful by our words and our actions, but the universe has got our backs. So, yeah.
That's a good
Anyway,
motto. The universe has got my back. Put that on your shirt. Hey, the universe
yeah.
has got my back. That's a good one.
Yeah, we got this.
Oh, that's wonderful. Does
Yeah.
anybody have any questions or comments for Cindi before we wind things up? Other
I
than
would like to, I would
oh,
like to, if I could. I just wanted to share a technique that
yeah, go ahead.
so I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. Um, Yesterday, I was standing in the kitchen with a friend, and he started telling me about this book that he's reading, which has to do with breathing. And he's describing this technique of breathing 6 times per minute. And on my way home today from a lake, I decided I'm just going to try it. So I put a timer on for 1 minute, and I decided 6 breaths a minute would be 5 seconds in, no, 10 seconds in, yeah, no, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, and then 6 times over 60 seconds, right? And so the technique is to pace it, not with a clock necessarily, but with your step. So I tried that today, and coming onto this call, and you're talking about, you know, greater awareness or more presence and being slowing down, that kind of stuff. I thought I'd share with you if you guys would like to know what the technique is. Okay, so basically, start off with a timer, 60-second timer, and then go outside or somewhere where you have lots of space and take 1 step per second. Take 1 step per second. And practice that until you're confident enough, and then adjust your breathing so that every 5 steps you're breathing in, and then the next 5 steps you're breathing out. And you do that over the minute, it will be 6 breaths a minute.
And did you find that calming, connecting? Certainly brings your awareness to the present moment, your
So here,
focus.
the biggest thing that I got was how much I consciously want to distract myself. And it was like, no, it was just like, it's like becoming completely sober. It's like, no, I don't want to be sober. I want to be like, or whatever. And then, yeah, that hit me like instantly. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want that. Go back into distraction. So that's what I got out of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would take a lot of focus for sure. Like a little walking meditation, but with the real focus on the counting. Okay, well, thank you, Cindi, so much for coming and bringing our attention to this and to the importance of grounding, the importance of activating the light codes, of being present. And I think maybe one of the most important things that you said was about how important the work is that we're doing.
Yeah.
How important it is to be grounded, to keep activating the earth and activating the water and activating the light codes and holding it and being the anchors for the light.
Anchors for the light. Yeah, you're the acupuncture people for the earth. You're the ones that are, you are the intermediaries. You're the bridge. You're the bridge.
Yeah, it's a wonderful reminder, and well, it's empowering too to hear it from other people that the work is valuable, not just valuable, but very, very important right now.
Well,
So,
Jackie, I do want to say I met you how many years ago, I don't know, but I'm grateful you're still doing this because not a lot of people carried on. There's been a lot of shifts and changes, but you've always been the light. Um, and so when I got your email, I was like, yeah, she's still doing stuff. So, I appreciate what you're doing in the
well,
world
thank you,
because
Cindi.
I really do. So thank you.
Yeah, we made it through all of that. We're doing our chapter meeting. This is our monthly chapter meeting now. We do them online.
Wow. I think that's fantastic because then I know there's people on this call who are from Calgary that I notified, and I hope that, this maybe that's a way they can carry on with you, right? Is like you can do it doesn't just have to be BC, right?
Oh, it's not BC. We've got, well, Esther that you were talking to earlier is from Saskatchewan.
Okay, so it's across a large area, then
Mm-hmm.
this is fantastic because we really need it. Yeah. So I hope the people that joined the call via my email consider contacting you to get on your email.
Yeah, if anybody here is not a member of Questers, you can go to questers.ca. But we do have an open forum, free open forums for anyone who's interested, for members and friends and family, anyone you think might be interested in learning about these things. And we've opened up the meetings like that for the very reason that Cindi's talking about. It's really important right now that we connect with each other and help others to connect as well, and activate these light codes. Activate these light codes. It's a great story. So next month we're going to have Kevin Orlowski, who was supposed to join us in the fall last year, but as you recall, he had a death in the family and had to cancel at the last minute. So we're looking forward to seeing him next month. Cindi, you might be interested in joining in on that call. He's talking about the times coming up, the changes happening, and it's quite interesting. If you're interested, I'll send you the link, because
Yes, please.
what he's been talking to us about over the last couple of years has been predicting everything that seems to be starting next month, the way I understand it.
Oh, goody.
You may find it interesting. So again, if you're not a member of Questers, we'd love to have you, and just questers.ca is where you can go and get more information. And then you'll get on the mailing list, and you'll be notified of all of our meetings and events and stuff like that. So I want to wish you all a very good evening, and thank you for joining us, and thank you, each one of you here, for holding the light, for doing the work. We are actually doing it. And when we have somebody like Cindi, shamanic priestess from all around the world, ceremonies that she was telling us about, working with the land, going to these sacred places, and telling us and recognizing that we are part of that light team. So thank you all for showing up and being who you are, and doing the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you all.
Yes. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Cindi.
Have a
Cindy.
wonderful week.
All right, we'll see you next month. And Cindi, thanks again for joining us. Oh, I better stop the recording. Here we go.